And there are spectacular movies about that, documentaries where you see that when the wild beasts are passing the river, that crocodiles are waiting for them and eating them. But it is not so spectacular, but the reality is that much more wild beasts are drowning in the water because then they cannot climb up the opposite side of the river. And so these are the fossils of the future, so to say. And future people will find them and draw their conclusions about them. But of course there are also thanatocyanosis in the fossil records, small and big, like this one for instance. This is a Jurassic sediment with ammonites and belemnites in them. So this one is from England, and based on these thanatocyanosis, and that's the important things. Yeah, why are they important? What can you conclude from them?
That these animals were in the same environment.
Yes, they are a documentary of an ancient ecosystem, so you can draw conclusions about it, about paleo food webs, for instance, and well, the Jurassic cases like this are of course famous. For instance, you can make a picture like this. Filter feeders, herbivores, carnivores, primary carnivores like ammonites and belemnites, and top predators like sharks and ichthyosaurs. So this is of course a famous example of a paleo environment, of a paleo ecosystem. But sometimes it is it's funny to look at animals themselves. For instance, to look at Jurassic sharks, like this one. This is a picture of sharks eating belemnites, and these pictures can be based on very nice fossils from the Jurassic of Holzmaden in Germany, for instance. We see here a fossil shark, Hebodus. And we see also the stomach content of that Hebodus. And you see the stomach is full with rostra of belemnites. This is a very nice fossil. It is on display in the Museum of Stuttgart in Germany. So if you ever visit that museum, you should go there. It is a very nice museum with a huge collection of spectacular fossils. I have been there once. And one day was hardly enough to look at all the fossils. And I have seen this fossil for real. And people like to put labels, and I like this label very much. Monotaxonic thanatocyanosis. Monotaxonic thanatocyanosis. It just means that you only see here belemnites. Only one species, monotaxonic. It's very nice. But why is this so nice? Because you see here a part of ecology on a, let's say, individual or microscopic scale, because this fossil says something about the shark itself. The shark itself obviously did not care if all parts of the belemnite were delicious or not. He did not care about that, he just ate the whole belemnite. And why is that so funny? Because ichthyosaurs were more like connoisseurs. They had a preference for only the soft parts of the belemnites. Because if you look at ichthyosaurs with stomach contents, you don't see the rostra from belemnites. You only see, the arrows are indicating it, you only see the hooks of the tentacles of the belemnites. Because you probably know that a belemnite did not have these suction things like modern squid and so on, but instead of that they had hooks on their tentacles, and sometimes in the fossil record these hooks are preserved together with the rostrum in an anatomical context, so that's why we know that these hooks came from the tentacles from the belemnite. So what can we conclude from this? if we imagine an ichthyosaur eating belemnites, what can we conclude from this?
So they were leaving big parts of the belemnite to go down to the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, they only like the delicious soft part.
They
So
were very picky.
yeah, they were picky. That's the word that I was looking for. They were picky. So the conclusions is more or less like this. The ichthyosaur only biting off the soft, delicious part of the belemnite, not swallowing it as a whole like the sharks did. So this is ecology on a microscopic level, so to say. Let's have a look at crinoids. Often you find parts in the fossil record. You find parts of crinoids like this, just elements of the stems of the crinoids. I think they are called troghites or something like that. Troghite chalk. But sometimes you find something like this. That you see the calyxes, so the actual body of the crinoid and the stems, they are in the same orientation. Yeah, in the same orientation. And this Schiphoclinitis was an interesting crinoid because they are so well preserved that you can see that at the end of the stem they had some kind of bladder filled with air so that they could float, like you see it on the picture below. By the way, in Stuttgart there is a very nice fossil. It is about, I think, 6 meters long. It's a petrified wood, driftwood with several specimens of crinoids attached to them. So this species was using these floating bladders, but other species were attached to something in the sea, like a floating stem of a tree or something. Here we see more or less the same phenomenon. This is very well-known fossils. You can buy them in shops and so on, and that's from the Devonian of Morocco, and you see here also this orientation, so it's obvious what the cause of this is. A sea current, a water current, determined the direction of the shells, and then fossilization took place. And this is the result then. So it says something about sea currents. These are nice trilobites, Calimene, from Quebec. And being arthropods, of course, trilobites had to molt once in a while as they grow bigger. And you often see, when you have a fossil trilobite, it is often the empty exoskeleton of an animal that had been molded, so had removed all the skin. But this animal on the left side, I can use this of course, but alligator. This animal on the left, that is not a ball, but it is the actual animal because it was folded together. When such a creature did not feel happy, it's folded together. But if you have something like this, then it is obviously an old skin, an old exoskeleton which was shed off. So that's obvious. Sometimes you see even an animal, a lemurus, for instance, the distinct relative of a trilobite, the lemurus from Solnhofen, from the Jurassic in Germany. Then you see the fossil. And behind the fossil you see the track. So then even the moment of death of the animal itself is preserved as a fossil. Let's go to the Cretaceous of Europe. with many islands. And there is a famous place in Westphalia in Germany, near Sandenhorst, in the city of Münster in Westphalia. And during that Cretaceous time, in the early Cretaceous, we have a situation like this. Sediments which are called turbidites, and you could call them underwater avalanches. So there was a steep slope. And sometimes there was an underwater avalanche of mud and sand, and the animals who were living there were of course quickly covered by mud. So they were the rotting process. There was no oxygen, so the rotting process was not complete. And near the city of Münster in Westphalia, there was a famous spot called Sandenhorst, where this is preserved, where these turbidites are preserved, and very beautiful fishes came from that place, like this one. Not only the skeleton is preserved, but the whole body form of the fish is preserved, and sometimes even the color of the fish is preserved. These are very pretty fossils. And it's due to the fact that they suddenly were covered by mud. So they died instantly, and there was no oxygen available for the rotting process. Perhaps you know this. Does anybody know this, where it is and what it is?
United States, sauropod.
Sorry?
It's a sauropod.
Yeah, but I mean the spot, the place where this actually is.
The Dinosaur National Monument.
Yeah, in Utah, the dinosaur monument in Utah, there is a mass grave of sauropods. And a remarkable thing about this, that there are, as far as I know, there are no skulls preserved. Only the bodies, only a part of the neck and the rest of the bodies. Does anybody have any idea what is the cause of that? Why are there only the last parts of the necks and the bodies preserved, not the heads?
Because the heads normally are lighter and they can flow, and they are much more fragile than the rest of the
Yeah, it is. The idea behind this is the following. That these sauropods were looking for water in a dry season, that they reached a riverbed where only mud was preserved because the water was not anymore there, and due